morning all once again. I welcome you in this another session of the control system in which we are going to discuss about the transfer functions. In the last class, we have seen the basic elements of the transfer function, what are the transfer functions, how the input and output relationship is being maintained, what are the different blocks, and how to do the block diagram reduction method. We have seen then if we are having a complex circuit in which we are dealing with the different blocks connected to each other, then how to reduce the complete control system into a single block by using the block diagram reduction technique. Similarly, in today's lecture, we will be discussing about the signal flow graph and also one of the one or two examples over the signal flow graph. What are the signal flow graphs? What are the different elements of the signal flow graph? How we can convert one transfer function into a signal flow graph, or what is the Mason's gain formula. Apart from this, we will also see one example over the block diagram reduction technique which we have studied in the last lecture. So let's start it. So starting from the block diagram reduction technique in the last lecture which we have discussed, let's take an example. For an example, we are having this block diagram connected in which we are having the different gains, that is the G1, G2, G3, G4 and G5, and the three feedback paths, that is H1, H2 and H3. The H1 the H1 is shown with the negative polarity, the H2 is shown with the positive polarity, and H3 is being shown with also with the negative polarity. So, and there is one input, that is the RS, and one output, that is the YS. So we have to reduce this complete. Using the block diagram reduction technique. That is a block diagram reduction method. Let's see how to do this. The very first step is being shown to you. That is, I have told you that there are 6 rules to go for the block diagram reduction technique. So this is the question which is being shown to you. So we have seen that there are 6 rules from 1 to 6, and we will apply them one by one. That is starting from the first rule. That is, we have to go through by simplifying the series connected gains. That means which one are the series connected gains? Now look at this diagram. In this G1 and G2 are the series connected gains. So first of all, we have to apply the rule number 1 over here. This which we have used in the step 1. When we applied the G1 and G2 rule number 1 over this, we can see it has been converted into a single block that is multiplied with the G1 and G2. That is a multiplication of G1 and G2. That means G1 into G2. I hope this is clear to you. Now we will apply rule number 2 for this block. The rule number 2 says that we have to reduce the parallel connected blocks. We have to reduce the parallel connected blocks. And which are the parallel connected blocks are these? The G4 and G3. So when we are connecting this G3 and G4, we can see the polarities of both of these are positive. That's why I can reduce it with the G3 plus G4 block. Okay. Now in the next step, we have to apply the rule number 3. The rule number 3 says that we have to solve. The rule 3 says that we have to solve the feedback paths. Feedback paths or loops. So when we are reducing the loops or the blocks, first of all, which one is the block? Which one is the loop? Now after solving this step number 1, we can find out that this is the individual loop. This is the individual loop which can be resolved easily. So in this we can see that we have resolved when we have find out the net overall transfer function for only this much amount, this much block, we will get it by this. That is the G1 G2 upon 1 plus G1 G2 H1. Now H1 is taken as positive. This is taken as positive because over here we are having a negative feedback path. I've told you that we will use the plus minus plus if it is over here plus minus. If we are having a plus minus over here, then we will be using the minus plus in the this overall gain code. Is this clear? Now we can see that rule number 3 has been applied. Now to use the rule number 4 for shifting the takeoff point after the G4 after the block G5. Now we are having this G5 block. So for an example, this takeaway point is creating a trouble. If we have shifted this takeaway point to this side, we can see that these two blocks will come in series and can be resolved very easily. So that's what we are going to do. So what we are going to do, we have taken this takeaway point over here, and while moving the takeaway point, I told you that when we are moving the takeaway from the left to right, then the block which it is crossing has to be divided in the feedback path. Has to be divided in the feedback path, or with that has to be divided with the takeaway point. The next takeaway point path. Okay. I hope this is clear to you. So over here we have divided the H2 with the G5. Okay. So in this, the step 2, what we have applied? We have applied the rule number 3 and we have applied the rule number 4. Now, in the next step, we have seen the step number 2. I have repeated it for the reference, and the question is also been repeated for your reference only. The step number 3. Now, when we have removed this, when we have taken this takeaway point over here, then we can see that these two blocks are connected and now it's series connected. So we again apply the rule number 1. We again apply the rule number 1 over here. So when we applied the rule number 1, I will get it this one. Okay, and remaining the complete block will remain as it is. Okay, so the rule number 1, what does the rule number 1 says? Rule number 1 says that when the series connected blocks are there, that means we are having the two series connected blocks with the G1 and G2, then the equivalent would be what? G1 into G2 with a single input and single output. I hope this is clear to you. Now, in the next step, the step number 3 has been copied, so that for your reference only, and the question is also been copied over. So in the next step, we have applied the rule number 1, and now we can see we have to resolve this individual loop. This loop. We have to apply the rule number 3 for this individual loop. For this individual loop. Okay. So when we have applied the feedback individual loop, when we have applied the rule number 3 for this block, and I have reduced this complete feedback this control block into a single one, that is the G3 plus G4 into G5 upon 1 plus G3 plus G4 into G5 into H3. The plus sign is taken over here since we are having the negative feedback over here for the H3 feedback. Okay. Now again we can see that it is getting simpler by simpler. Earlier we have started from this question. We have started this question which was very quite looking complex. But when we applied the block reduction method, you can see that I have reduced it to a lot extent into a simpler network, into a simpler block diagram. Now look at this. Now it will be very easy. Now in the rule number 5, what is the prospect? What is the approach? The approach would be that we will again apply the rule number 1 in this case. Let's see. Step 5. Step 5 says that use the rule number 1 for the blocks connected in series and modify the block diagram shown in the figure. Look at over here. Look at over here. We have reduced this complete block into a single block. Okay, that is we have multiplied these two blocks. That is G1, G2, G5 into G3 plus G4 1 upon 1 plus G1, G2 into H1 into 1 plus G3 plus G4 into G5 H3, and with this feedback on. Now again it has been reduced. Now only the last step has been remaining, that is the rule step number 6, in which we are going to apply the rule number 3 again. What was the rule number 3? It says that we have to solve or reduce to simple by applying feedback block. By applying the feedback block. Now let's see. Now in 6 we can clearly see, and this 6 we can clearly see that step number 6, that rule number 3 is applied. As I have told you, that rule number 3 is applied, which is connected blocks in the feedback loop. The modified block diagram is shown in the figure, and the simplified block diagram has been this one. Okay, so we have applied. That means this is the simplified one, and the transfer function will be. The transfer function is what? Transfer function is your output upon input relationship. Transfer function is what? It is your TF is equal to output upon input. Okay. Is this clear to you? That means we have got this transfer function as ys upon rs is equal to g1, g2, g5 square into g3 plus g4 upon 1 plus g1, g2, h1 multiplied with 1 plus g3 plus g4 multiplied with g5 and g5 h3 into g5 minus g1, g2, g5 multiplied with g3, g4 and h2. Now you can directly write this transfer function if you have been asked, once you get acquainted with solving such block diagram reduction techniques in a very short interval of time, just by looking into the diagram. By looking into that diagram, just look into the diagram, this question. How many forward paths are there? 1, 2, and there is only how many two forward or 2 forward paths. So one forward path will be G1, G2, G3, G5. That way forward path means when we are moving from your input side to the output side. Okay, that means when we are moving from input side, we will be getting the gains of G1, G2, G3 and G5. And the second forward path will be G1, G2 moving from this end. Okay, so it will be G4, G1, G2, G4 and G5. So you can see that G5 is coming twice. So what we have done, that is G1, G2, G5 square. Okay. and G3 plus G4 in this way. Is this clear? We have reduced this into the parallel. We have reduced this parallel into the series one. Okay, that is your G3 plus G4, and we have got this. And next is the loops. The first loop is this one. The second loop is this one, and there is one another loop going with this way. So how many loops are there? One. This one is two, and this one is. Okay, simply we can write it by just by looking to the diagram. But I would suggest that first you go through the few lot of practicing, then only you will be able to directly solve this type of questions just by writing directly, looking to the diagram. You can solve it directly. This is very important because at least one question came in GATE examinations or ES. That is your ES. Okay, ESC examinations, engineering services. Now, at least one question. So you don't have much time over there and GATE and ESE to solve through this big logics, applying rule 1, then rule 2, then rule 3. It will be taking a lot of time consuming. So it's always better to apply just by looking into the diagram and directly moving to the answer. Taking notice. That will only comes with the practice. Okay. So more you practice, more you will get. Now let's move further towards the signal flow graph. Now what are the signal flow graphs? The signal flow graph is a graphical representation of algebraic equations. We are having the polynomials, for an example. We are having some algebraic equations. A set of equations or a set of equations then we can convert the set of equations into a graphical representation. Like in this way, we have shown you example. So this graphical representation of the set of equations, this set of equations is about, these are the input-output relationships of the system. These set of equations are defining the input-output relationships for the system. Now, in this we will discuss about the basic concepts related to the signal flow graph and also learn how to draw the signal flow graphs. Now, let's move further. The basic elements of the signal flow graph have been shown to you. The basic element are basically the node. The very first element is the node. Node is the point which represents either a variable or a signal. Now look at this. This is a node. This is a node. This is also a node. And this is also a node. And similarly and so on. And this is also a node. So out of these several nodes, we can classify all the nodes, all the type of nodes into three categories only. That is, first is your input node, then your output node, and then your mixed node. So the input node is the node which is having only outgoing branches. This node is having only outgrowing branch. That is, only one outgrowing branch is there. Okay, there is no input to this. So that's why it is called as input node. Output node is the one which is having only the incoming branches. It is having only one incoming branch and there is no another such outgoing branch from this side. Okay, and the mixed node are those nodes which are having both the incoming as well as the outgoing. Is this clear? For an example, look at this. This node number Wi-Fi. We can see that we are having two incoming branches and one outgoing branch. So this is an example of a mixed node. I hope this is clear to you. Next is branches. What are the branches? The branches is a line segment which join the two nodes. For an example, look at this. These are the two nodes, and these two nodes are being joined by a line or a segment. This is called as branch. This is called as branch. Okay. So in this example, how many branches are there? There are 4 branches. How many branches? One. Branch A, branch B, branch C, and one feedback branch, that is branch D. Okay. So there are 3 branches having the different gains. The gains are being defined by A, B, C, and this is a, is this clear? Is this clear to you all that how we are calculating, how we are defining the branches and the nodes? Now let's see, let's move further. Let us construct a signal flow graph. Let's take an example. Let us construct a signal flow graph by considering these algebraic equations. I have told you we are having some algebraic equations, okay, which are nothing but the input-output relationships or giving some information about the transfer functions. So there will be 6 nodes. How many signal flow graphs do we have? We have y1, y2, y3, y4, y5, and y6. Now look at this. The y2 has been given that it is equal to a12y1 plus a42y4, and a12 defines that if I am writing that a12, this means that it is connected between the node 1 and node 2. Node 1 and node 2, and this is your nothing. This is the branch A. Okay, we will discuss it later. Now the gains of the branches are as defined as A12, A23, A34, A45, A56, A42, A53, and A34. From where we are getting this information? We are getting from these algebraic equations. Is this clear? I hope this is clear to you. Now let's see how to draw the signal flow graph with the availability of these algebraic equations. Let's see. Now to get the overall signal flow graph, draw the signal flow graph for each of the equations and then combine all these signal flow graphs and then follow the following steps. Now the first step is that we are having one equation. This is the first equation, that is y2 is equal to y13 y1 plus ya4 ya42 y4. That means we are having the two gains, that is a13 and a42. And how many nodes are there? We are having how many nodes? That is obviously y2, y1 and y4. 3 nodes. That means it is giving a relationship for the 3 nodes and the interconnections of these 3 nodes accordingly. So y2 is what? Y2 is equal to this plus this. That is, it is having the 2 incoming branches. This y2 it is having input branches. And what is the what such node is called as? It is called as an output node. It is acting like an output node right now. So we have to define first of all the nodes like this: y1, y2, like at the previous slide. Let me show you. Okay, we will define all these nodes y1, y2, y3, y4, y5 accordingly in a series, and then we connect. Then we have a connection relationship between the y1 and y2 with the gain of ya12. Similarly, we are having the relationship between the a42, that is given by this. This is a12. This is your a12. Remember. Is this clear? Now, the second signal flow graph with this equation number 2 says that we are having the input-output relationship for the y2 and y5 branches. Now, let's draw. Again, we have drawn this complete all these nodes, and we can see that I have drawn the ya23, and that is we are moving from 2 to 3. The gain is from 2 to 3. So that's why we are moving from this side to this side. and another gain is the A53. So we are moving from A5 node to T. Is this clear? I hope this is clear to you. Now, in the third step, let's consider this third equation number 3, which is defining only the relationship between the phi 4 and y3 node with the gain of A34. I hope this is clear to you. Now let's move further. Now the next equation, fourth equation was y5 equal to A45 y4 plus A35 y3. So we have to apply this relationship in the flow graph. That is, we are establishing a relationship for 3 and 5. That is with a gain of A35 from 3 to 5. Gain from the node 3 to node 5. Similarly, for this term, we will be having y4 and y5 with the gain of A45. Now the last term was this y6 equal to A56 y5. Now it has been given that y5 and y6. Now let's combine all this. Now when we combine overall system, it will be look like this. It will be looking like this. I hope this is clear to you. We have drawn the complete set of algebraic equations. We have converted the complete set of algebraic equations into a graphical representation. Okay, in this way. So, in the signal flow graphs, we convert the set of algebraic equations into the graphical representation. And why we are doing this? We are doing this because it is easy to calculate the transfer functions or to convert the transfer functions to signal flow graph and signal flow graph to the transfer functions. And also, we can apply the several methods. We can apply the several methods in this to solve out the transfer functions or getting the net equivalent transfer function for the overall system. It's quite easy than applying the block reduction technique method. Block reduction method. Moving further, the conversion of block diagrams into the signal flow graph. Now, to convert the block diagrams into the signal flow graphs, we have to follow the following steps. If we follow these steps, it will be very easy to convert a complete block diagram into a signal flow graph. Now, what are those steps? That is, we have to represent all the signals, variables, summing points, take-off points of the block diagram as nodes in the signal flow graph. That means if you are having the signal flow graph, if you are having the summation points, the take-off points, the variables and the signals. The variables and the signals as a block in the block diagram as a node in the signal diagram. Now, in this next step is we have to represent the block diagrams as branches. The blocks of the block branch, the blocks of the suppose this is a block diagram in which this is your G1 and this is your H2, which is giving the feedback. So these two blocks, G1 and H2 block, has to be represented by the branches of the signal flow. Okay. Now we have to represent the transfer functions inside the blocks of block diagram as gains of the branches in the signal flow graph. So the blocks which have been represented by the branches and the associated gains of the block has to be represented as the gains of the branches. Okay. And the last step is connect the nodes as per the block diagram, and if there is connection between the two nodes, but there is no connect between the block, then represent the gain of the branch as 1. That means we are having the two nodes. Okay, we are having the two nodes, but there is no block between those two nodes. Then we have to assume the gain of the branch as unity, as 1 or unity. Now, for example, between the summing points or between the summing points and takeoff points, usually we do not have the blocks. So in that case, those two nodes, the summing point and the takeoff points, will be considered as the nodes, and between two nodes, the gain of the branch would be what? It will be 1 or the unity. I hope this is clear to you. Okay, is this okay? Now let's move further. Let's take an example. Let us convert this following block diagram into its equivalent signal flow graph. Now, how to convert this into an equivalent signal flow graph? Let us take an example. First of all, I've told you that we have to represent each of the summation points, input, outputs, takeoff points as a nodes, and the signals as a branches, and blocks as a branches, and associated gains associated gains with the blocks as the gains of the branches. So there, how many nodes are there? There are total 9 nodes. That is from, let's see, y1, y2. This, there is a node between these two blocks. Y3. This is the node y4. This will be your y5. Then y6. Then y7. This will be the y7. This one will be the y7, and this takeoff point will be the y8, and this will be your y9. Okay. So how many nodes are there? There are 9 nodes in this, and these are 9 nodes, and out of which among these we will be having the apart from this we will be having the inputs and output nodes as well. Okay. Now let's see further. Now look at this. This is the equivalent figure, shows the equivalent signal flow graph. Now how we have converted it into this? Look at this. This is one node. This is one node. So we have represented all these 9 nodes as y1, y2, y3, y4, y5, and y6. I have represented the gains. I have represented the gains of the nodes, or sorry, gains of the blocks as the gains of the branches. The gains of the block was given, and it has been now the gain of the branch. Now we know that in this there is no gain between the, there is no block between the y1 and y2. So we have, I've told you that if there is no block between the two nodes, then we have to assume it is a unity. y1 and y2 के बीच में, the y1 and y2 are having one unity gain, as we can see in this. Okay. So this is your equivalent signal flow graph for this transfer function. I hope this is clear to you. It is very simple. You just need to follow these rules, and by assuming these applying these rules correctly into this block, into the block diagram of the control block, then we can directly convert into the signal flow graph very easily. I hope this is clear to you. Now moving further towards the Mason's chain formula, we can see that the Mason's chain formula is used to identify or to find out the transfer function from the signal flow graph. So first of all, what we have done till now, we have, look at this, we are having one problem. From that problem, we have identified the input-output relationship, equations or algebraic equations. From from those algebraic equations, we have created one signal flow graph, or if it is already given in the block diagram, then we have converted the block diagram into the signal flow graph. Using the signal flow graph, we will be using the Mason's formula for finding the transfer function of it. Okay, is this clear? Now let's see how it is been done. We are having the Mason-Keen formula given by this formula, that is the CS upon RS, which is equal to delta I summation I equal to 1 to n pi into delta I whole upon delta, whereas CS is the output node, RS is the input node, T is the transfer function or the gain between the CS and RS, pi is pi. Pi is the ith forward path. It is the gain of the ith forward path. And delta I is the associated, it can be obtained by removing the loops which are touching the ith forward path. That means all the loops which are not touching to the ith forward path is the delta I, and delta is the net equivalent determinant. We can say net equivalent determinant of all the individual loop gains and all the individual possible non-touching loop gains, and some of the gain products of all the possible three non-touching loops, and so on. Okay, let's see an example on this. Now consider the signal flow graph. Consider the signal flow graph in order to understand the basic terminologies involved here. The first is the path. Now what is the path? The path is the forward. It is the traversal of branches from one node to another in the direction of branch arrows. That means we are moving into this one. Okay, so this is a path. This is not a path. That means if we are moving from this node to this node, we will not consider it as a path. Okay, the forward path is only along the direction of the arrow. So it should not traverse any node more than once. This is also one condition. It should not traverse any node more than once. That means we cannot say that moving from this node to this node and then again moving to this node and moving to this. No, the forward path should not come back to again to the same node. I hope this is clear to you. Okay, that means the forward path is y2 to y3 to y4 to y5, and another forward path is y5 to y3 to y2. Is this clear? Now, forward paths are what? The path that exists from input node to the output node is known as a forward path. Examples are being shown to you, that is y1 to y2 to y3 to y2, y4, y5 and y6, and y1, y2, y3, then y5 and y6. So the forward path gains are those. What are the forward path gains? It is obtained by calculating the product of all branch gains of the forward path. The examples are A, B, C, D, E is a forward path gain. The gain associated between the y1 and y2 node is A. The gain associated with the y2 and y3 is B. The gain associated with y3 and y4 is C. The gain associated with y4 and y5 branch is D, and so on. So the forward path gain is what? It is obtained by calculating the product of all the branch gains of the forward path. So the first forward path is this one. Let me show you by multiplying this. A into B into C into D into E. Okay. Similarly, for the second forward path, the total all overall gain would be A into B into C. Okay, sorry, A into B into G into E. A, B, G, E. Okay, what are the loops? Loops are the paths that starts from one node and ends at the same node is known as a loop. So you can see this is the loop. This is one loop. This is one another loop. This complete with is another loop, and this is one another loop. So it starts with one. It starts with this nodes, and this complete path is closed, and it is returning to the same node is called as a loop. What is a loop gain? The loop gains is the product of all the branches of the loop. That's simple. As same as the forward loop, forward gain, and non-touching loops. All those loops which are not having any common node are called as the non-touching loops. Okay, that means this loop and this loop are not having any common node. That's why they are called as non-touching loop. Okay, so how many loops are there? There are two non-touching loops in this. One is the y3, sorry, y2, y3 and y2. y3, y2 and y y2, y3 and again y2. And another non-touching loop is this y4, y5 and y4. Okay, so how many non-touching loops are there? Two in this signal flow graph. Now let's do some of the MCQs. The question number 1 says that the signal flow graph is a graphical representation of relationship between the variable of sets of linear algebraic equation. Is that true or false? Yes, it is true. Now the question number 2 says that a node having only outgoing branches is called as a node having only outgoing branches is called as what? It is called as an input node. It's called as a input node. Next is the Mason's using the Mason's gain formula to find the transfer function of the given signal flow graph. You have to find out the overall transfer function of the system using the Mason's gain formula. Now, how to use this Mason's gain formula? I have told you. You have to apply it on your own. Then we will see what's the solution in the next session. Again, in the same question, for that one signal flow graph is been given to you, and applying the Mason's gain formula, you have to identify the transfer function. Question number 5. Loop which do not possess any common node are said to be what? I've told you that do not, if the two loops are not having any common node, those are called as non-touching loops. Those are called as non-touching loops. Now, signal flow graphs. Sixth question says that the signal flow graphs, they apply to linear systems. The equations obtained may or may not be in the form of cause or effect. The arrows are not important in the graph. They cannot be converted back to block diagram. Yes. Tell me. We will discuss in the next class. The signal flow graphs are reliable to find the transfer functions that block diagram reduction techniques. Question number 7 says that the signal flow graphs are reliable to find transfer functions than block diagram reduction techniques. We cannot say that they are they are reliable or not, but we can say yes, they are very easy and accurate to find out the overall transfer functions rather than by reducing the block diagrams and then finding the overall transfer function. Yes, we can say that it is true. It is true. Now the relationship between, next question is, the relationship between an input and output variable of a signal flow graph is given by the net gain between the input output nodes is known as the overall gain of the system. It is overall stability, it is overall bandwidth, or it is overall speed. Now we know that the relationship between the input and output is nothing but a gain. So if we are reducing the overall signal flow graph and finding using the Mason's gain formula, then what we are getting? We are getting the overall gain of the system. Now the question number 9 says that using the Mason's-Gain formula to calculate the transfer function of a given figure, we have to find out the transfer function for the given figure using the Mason's-Gain formula. This is very simple and easy. Okay, so by directly solving it, we can identify the solution for such simple questions without even touching the pen. We can solve it. How? Just do it by the practice. I will tell you later. The answer, just by looking at the diagram, you can see the how many forward paths are there. G1, and it would be next would be the G1 plus of G2. So it, and 1 upon the feedback path is 1. So it will be option number B. Option number B is the correct answer. Now use the Mason's-Gain formula to find the transfer function of the given figure. Using the Mason's formula, we have to find the transfer function of the given figure. Okay. That is the G1. The transfer function would be G1, G2, and minus H. The G1 plus G2 upon 1 plus 1 is this one, and another is this one. So there are two confusion loops. So it will be G1 plus G2 upon 1 plus G1H plus G2H. I hope this lecture is very useful to you. You have understood that now how the transfer functions are being created, how the block diagram reduction method is being applied, how the signal flow graphs are being done, and using the algebraic equations, how we can convert the algebraic equations into a graphical representation, and from those graphical representations, how we can identify the transfer function, that is the input-output relationship between the system, input-output relationship of the system. So I hope this is clear to you all. Thank you so much for this session.